Let's see how this goes. Oh gosh. Let's see. Let's see. Hey everybody, my name is Eric Simmons, and this is Everything Paso Robles. I hope everybody's well at home, going through the quarantine. And I don't know about you, but I think my body has consumed so much Perel and vodka that when I pee, I think I'm actually cleaning the toilet now. So that's my dad joke for the day. Hope you enjoyed it. I gotta say, my guest today is an awesome guy. They have great products. He is the founder of the San Luis Obispo Cannabis Council, Sean Sherman from Golden Apple Cannabis Company. I gotta say, every time I talk to Sean, sometimes he just blows my mind. He's an encyclopedia of cannabis. So he's waiting patiently. And with no further ado, let's bring Sean in. Hey, what's up, Sean?
Hey Eric, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Awesome, awesome as well as can be. Sitting here enjoying some craft consumables, and sounds like we're going to talk about cannabis. So having a great time.
Heck yeah, man. Well,
Yeah,
I think we should start off with getting a little background about who you are and what Golden Apple Cannabis Company is all about.
yeah, perfect. So yeah, my wife and I we started Golden Apple about 5 years ago, 5 6 years ago, and originally we were in the what people would traditionally think of as the cannabis market. So primarily THC varietals and THC focused products. Um, there's been a lot of changes in the regulations over the last couple of years in regards to cannabis becoming legalized, the new hemp market, etc. So now in the cannabis industry as a whole, there's really two different facets. We have the hemp side of the house and the THC side of the house. So for the hemp side of the house, we're able to do e-commerce and make hemp products and have our products on in grocery stores, and you could buy hemp in CVS. So that's kind of what we're really focusing right now, is on the hemp products. But that being said, we have a permit in for a large facility in North County.
Right. Can you tell me what the difference between hemp, cannabis, and marijuana is? I mean, there's a big variety, I imagine, and there's a good explanation for it, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there's a lot of terms being thrown around, and I think that there's a lot of confusion around these terms. But it's really pretty simple actually, which is all of these things that we're talking about come from the cannabis plant. So marijuana, hemp, CBD, THC, all of these come from cannabis.
Wow.
The hemp, yeah, the hemp now, since the 2018 Farm Bill, the new definition of hemp is any cannabis plant with less than 0.3% THC. So if I
Okay.
have a cannabis plant and it's less than 0.3% THC, it's considered hemp. If it's more than 0.3% THC, it's considered, quote unquote marijuana. So that's really what it is. It's just a basic, government / regulatory classification. Interestingly, in the EU, it's 0.2% instead of 0.3%.
Right. Okay, I gotta say something. I had a technical difficulty. Facebook was not live at the time. I would like you to say who you are and your company, and explain your company one more time. Sorry, Sean, but we had a little technical difficulties jumping into Facebook. I want everybody to know who you are and what your products are. So if you could just go ahead and say who you are and what your company is, and do the whole first half of that spiel one more time, because it was great. Please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Sean Sherman. And my wife and I, Brooke, we started Golden Apple Cannabis Company about 6 years ago. And originally when we started, we were, more THC focused, right? What people would traditionally think of as, cannabis. So we made, seed to sale. We cultivated cannabis, or THC varietals. We made products. We retailed. There's been a lot of changes in the regulations over the last couple of years, and now there's a clear distinction within the laws between THC varietals and lower THC varietals, which we call hemp now. And with hemp, we're able to it's federally legal. We're able to do e-commerce. We're able to have these products on grocery store shelves, at CVS as an example. So Golden Apple right now is primarily focused on hemp, which is everything that the cannabis plant has to offer except for THC. So we have an e-commerce site, our website now. We do e-commerce. I do education. And at the same time, we also have a permit at San Luis Obispo County going for a large facility up in North County for THC activities.
Sweet, man. That's going to be a lot of fun. You were telling me a little bit about that. That sounds like it's going to be a great time for everybody up in North County.
That's right.
Well, before we get too far into this, man, I know you guys have a 25% off deal today. You want to mention? You want to hit that up real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a 25% off all CBD products for the whole weekend. Expires, midnight on Sunday. It's a promo code. Just dial in Golden Paso during the checkout process, and you get 25% off. That's
cool, man. Does it count for me?
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely.
Sweet. That's great, man. So I got to say, I've been using your products, and I've been like wowed by everything. And when we were talking earlier, we were talking about cannabinoids and all this. Can you explain cannabinoids and how they, how your reaction is to them and stuff like that? Give us a little background.
Yeah, absolutely. So cannabinoids are specific compounds that are found on the cannabis plant, specifically in the resin on the cannabis plant. And the resin is mostly found on the flowers, or in slang term, right, that would be buds. And although most people are familiar, if I were to say THC and CBD, most people seem to be familiar with these terms, but really these are only 2 out of 115 or so currently known cannabinoids. And we're finding more and more all the time. There were some researchers in Italy just a couple of months ago that found 4 new cannabinoids. That's THCP, CBDP, and a couple of others. So it's really interesting. As we're coming out of prohibition, we're able to conduct more science and research into this, and we're just learning more and more each day.
It's a higher education.
That's right. Sure is.
I'm loving it. So you're talking about CBD. So why don't we go into that? Your CBD products, the tinctures, I think are really well made. I'm loving it. My family's loving it. My My sleepy time tincture got stolen from me, like we were talking about. But it is what it is. At least they're enjoying it. But can you tell us about your tinctures and your CBD oils and stuff like that, and what sets you guys apart from the rest of the companies out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently, for our cannabinoid-based products, we have CBD. In the future, we're going to start releasing, some other CBG, CBC products, etc. But CBD itself is short for cannabidiol. It's a safe, non-addictive, non-intoxicating cannabinoid. It's great for reducing pain. It's a potent anti-inflammatory, helps relieve anxiety and depression, has neuroprotective properties, can help with certain skin issues, has heart health benefits, etc. So
Wow,
it really does a lot for a single compound. Absolutely.
that's great.
So yeah, so what we do is we take CBD, and with most CBD products out there, if you go out and shop around for CBD products, a lot of those products are made with what we call an isolate, and it's CBD by itself. And although CBD is great, and it's a wonderful compound, it's actually in most use cases it's more effective when we're able to bring in some of these other cannabinoids as well and other compounds from the plant like terpenes. And all of these things work synergistically together to have a greater effect. In all sorts of things like anti-inflammatory, as an example. If we just use CBD by itself, absolutely, it's a great anti-inflammatory, more potent than aspirin, etc. But if we can combine it with some of these other cannabinoids, it has even more efficacy. So we use what's called full spectrum CBD. In addition, with most of our products, we mix in terpenes and other plant compounds so that it's, again, the name of the game is to try to be as effective as possible. And by this, we're able to kind of tweak the formulations a little bit to target specific, ailments and physiological responses.
So this terpenes, you're the only one that's ever mentioned terpenes to me and really dialed it in and gone into depth. Can you go into that and describe what terpenes are and different moods that it can make you feel?
Yeah, absolutely. So terpenes are not only found on the cannabis plant. Terpenes are found in almost everything that has vegetative growth or plant in nature. As humans, we typically can notice them by their aroma or smell. So if you were to have like lavender as an example, the lavender smell is primarily from a terpene, a molecule on the plant in the oil called linalool. Same thing with lemons as an example. The essence of lemon, what you think of like a lemon rind, is actually limonene. And these terpenes are found all throughout nature, and they're really on the plants. The purpose of them being on a plant is to respond to external pressures. So that means that it could attract or deter certain insects. Terpenes can be used to communicate amongst plants like, there's trouble coming. So they exude a particular chemical, right, that goes through the air, and another plant can pick it up and say, oh man, there's trouble over there. Some insects exude terpenes. It just so happens that humans have a physiological response to terpenes. And this is something that essential oil people have known forever. So as an example,
Right.
Again, I can put in lavender, essential oil, in a diffuser, and it's calm and sedative. I could put in, limonene, or lemon essential oil, and it's sort of bright and it's an antidepressant. And it does, we have research that shows that absolutely these essential oils have again, a physiological response to us. And in terms of cannabis, they're really sort of a newer kid on the block in terms of molecular constituents of what we're aware of with cannabis. So, if I were to say something like sativa and indica in the cannabis world, really what we're talking about is different terpene profiles. Some terpene profiles are more uplifting for someone, for people, and other particular terpene profiles are more sedative for people.
Wow. It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing the science behind all this. It's not like we were talking like when we were kids, going and having fun, behind the dumpster. Now there's a science to it, and there's actually, there's it's a true medicine. I believe it's a true medicine. It helps people out in their daily lives, and it's now becoming, it's legal, and it's now becoming a permanent medicine for a lot of people, not just young. But like we were talking about the baby boomers, you know what I mean? A lot of baby boomers are doing CBD oil and salves and the lotions and all that. I mean, I use your salve on my hands, and 1 week it's been awesome. I mean, my hands are still crunchy, but the crunch doesn't have the pain behind it, and it's been really nice. And I'm a believer. So, and just more than one of your products, but I'm a believer.
Yeah, well. It's and anecdotal evidence is awesome, right? And there's something to be said about, talking to a friend and it really helped them. But what's really neat about all this is we have research to back all of these things up, right? And it's interesting because, really the cannabis movement, I would argue, became legal through a medicinal medicinal take, right? Through medical marijuana at one point. And because of that, that was sort of how we got more cultural acceptance with this thing. And, at first it was like, oh, well, you guys, you're trying to say that cannabis is good for, glaucoma and arthritis and multiple sclerosis and, anti-depression and everything, and you guys are just trying to use this as an excuse to go out there and get high, right? But what's it's funny, but what's really interesting is now we know that there's something called the endocannabinoid system, and this is something that the largest physiological system that we have in our bodies, and everything with a backbone that's a vertebrate has an endocannabinoid system. And they discovered this in the 90s when trying to figure out how cannabis affects us physiologically. So researchers in Israel, were studying this, and they're like, oh man, turns out there's a whole body, this whole system that its sole purpose of the system is to be a universal regulator for our body. And right. Its job is to keep our body in homeostasis, or a state of balance, against external pressures. So in effect,
I'm sorry. That's the one thing that I learned this week was what you're just talking about right now, and that's just bringing it to a whole nother level. I mean, doing the science and all that. I know even like tobacco, we do a lot of science for like, I mean, we're talking about like this COVID-19. They're using tobacco to try to find cures for COVID-19 and stuff like that. So I'm sure they're using cannabis to do the same thing, right? I mean, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly with COVID, there's some.
There we are. Okay. This is why doing live stuff remote is very hard. It's very hard. Man. It's super hard to do, especially out here in the country. Okay, there's some.
Yep.
All right, we're back. Okay, yeah, we're back. We're live. I'm sorry. My bad. Technical difficulties. So let's go ahead and roll back into it if you remember what you were talking about there.
Yeah, so we were talking about the endocannabinoid system. So as a recap, the endocannabinoid system is responsible for regulating our sleep, our mood, our appetite, memory, immune responses, fertility, etc. So when someone says, medical marijuana, how could it treat all, this myriad of different, symptoms and ailments? It's like, well, because it interacts with a system that ultimately controls your nervous and immune system, etc. And in regards to COVID, you brought up COVID. So we definitely have some research, there's some research available on this. And although, just a disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, right? The FDA treatments for COVID, but there is some good research out there. And ultimately, a lot comes down to inflammation. And there's not many diseases out there that inflammation isn't a main driver or issue when it comes, response issue when it comes to the disease. And especially with COVID, there's a term floating around right now about cytokine storms. And with COVID and a lot of other diseases out there, a lot of people, really get a lot of harm from these cytokine storms. And really, cytokines are small proteins that are released, including those of the immune system. And really, their job is to coordinate the body's response against infection and triggering inflammation. So a lot of the times, these a body's response to a particular infection can go into overdrive in terms of the immune system. So when a coronavirus enters the lungs, it triggers.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Sean, I hate to say this, man. We're losing. I'm losing you. Our bandwidth is probably crunching right now. So can I have you back on again? That'd be great to have you back on, dude. And we could talk more about this. Hey, you know what? This is a better idea. Why don't we just get rid of all this COVID-19 stuff, and you could come into studio, and we don't have to do these remote shows. We could come in here, we could have fun, we could have a couple drinks, have a couple of your products, and have some fun in studio. And I'd love to have you come back and talk more about this if you could. You're very educated. I think you're the most educated person I've met in the cannabis culture yet. And I'm hoping that we could do some more fun stuff in the future. What do you say?
Looking forward to it. Absolutely. Okay, and thanks for having me on, Eric. I really appreciate it.
Sean, thank you for coming on. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties, bro. But this is live, and good Lord. Woo! And I'm by myself, man. This is the crazy part. I'm by myself. I don't have Patrick Brooks in here. I don't have my director and everybody else in here. So it's just kind of a hard time right now doing everything by myself. I apologize, but you got the good word out there. And when you come back, I'd like to talk more about CBD and the legality of marijuana, and also, what's the future? What is the future in our county? And I know you know a lot of people in the council and in San Luis Obispo, and I'd love to have you come back, and maybe we'll bring somebody from that particular party to come in and talk with you. That'd be a lot of fun too, as well.
Absolutely, that'd be great. We do have one question that someone had submitted.
Yes.
Which was what's the difference between our sleep CBD tincture and regular CBD? And just to quickly answer that, at the end of the day, typically CBD is CBD, just like oxygen is oxygen and water is water, right? Water is H2O. They're all chemical compounds. So what makes our sleep CBD tincture special is, number one, it's full spectrum CBD. So it's not just CBD, it has these other compounds. And in addition, we have valerian root in there to help as a calming agent, melatonin. And we also have other terpenes in there to act as for a more sedative type effect. So that would be the difference between our sleep tincture product and a regular quote unquote CBD tincture.
That's great, man. I believe in it. I used your product until it got stolen, and then it worked for me. I'm a huge believer in tinctures and CBD oils. I do. It does help me sleep at night, among other things, but it does do the job. And I want to bring this in before I let you go one more time. You guys are doing, let's see here. It's 25% off today using promo code Golden Paso. You have to go to www.goldenapplecannabiscompany.com. Is that correct? .com. I'm sorry, I put that in there wrong. But yeah, you can go to their website, check it out, and get 25% off. I'm gonna do it. You should do it too. So, hey, Sean, thanks a lot, dude, for coming on, dude. And I'm going to have you back in. I hope you come back in soon, like very soon. And when we get all these kinks worked out, and I have actually people in here working with me, and we could have an awesome show with everybody. And I can't wait till COVID-19 is over with. I hope it's soon. And so we could go out, we could party, and have a good time, buddy.
That's right. I look forward to it, man. I'd love to show up anytime.
Awesome, dude. Well, Sean, till next time, buddy. I'll see you then. COVID high five.
That's right.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. All right, guys. So that's the end of the show. I just got to mention a couple things I'm pretty sad about. We lost John Prine to COVID-19. That was a sucky thing. Him and Tyler Childers are good buddies. It was his mentor. And anyways, if you're healthy, go donate blood, please. Go donate some blood. Wash your hands. And if you are interested in EPR, you could go to everythingpasorobles.com. That's www.everythingpasorobles.com to find out more. And be healthy, everybody. Be safe, be healthy, have fun. See you later, Paso Robles.